And for Off the Block, I'm Vinny Lopes, and we are now joined by Dan Friend, the head coach of the #1 overall seed Lewis Flyers. And Coach, it's been a wild, emotional ride for you guys the last 18 hours playing an MIVA championship match, and then finding out that you get the #1 overall seed. Just what has it been like the last day for you guys?
Well, I would totally agree with you. I think definitely emotional match last night with a great loyal team, and then on the same side for us, sitting there to see where we're going to get in today, and then ended up being the #1 seed overall. I think, ultimately maybe took a little bit of sting off that loss last night in terms of that, and, the guys are able to kind of relish in the fact of their body of work for the entire season, and, did not do anything today with the guys, but they'll take the day off, and then we'll get at it tomorrow and start refocusing and getting ready for an opportunity at the national tournament.
Yeah. And, you guys have been through this before. Last year you made the NCAA Tournament. How much do you feel that experience of being there last year helps you this year in preparing for your upcoming semifinal match?
A good group of these guys were there in 2012 too, so I think it speaks in terms of having some tournament experience and being around and understanding how it goes, and whether it's the media or the banquet or any of that stuff that kind of goes along with it. I think there's a large number of guys on this team that have been through that process, so I just think it even makes it a little bit easier in terms of dealing with just the stuff that's outside of volleyball.
And Coach, I want to ask you, one of the big reasons you were able to get the #1 seed, not only your play in conference this season, but your non-conference schedule. What is it about you and just the Flyers' ability where you guys are seemingly able to schedule high-quality opponents every single year, and just your willingness to go anywhere to play them?
Well, I think you and me have talked about this before, and I think the inception when I got hired of the program was if you want to get to where you're contending at the national level, you got to go out and play the teams that are the best in the country, and I think if you look back track record to the years where there were times where we weren't taking those wins, and but at the same time we were learning and getting better, and then slowly I think like in 09 and 10 and 11 we started to get a few wins against some of those outside teams, and then accumulation over the past few years you start to see us get more wins. So I think you can't be afraid to schedule some of the toughest teams in the country in terms of putting yourself in a position to be successful. And that was before there was ever an expansion of 6 teams. You know what I mean? Before it was just like, hey, we got to try to play the highest level possible to put us in a position at the end of the year to win our conference tournament. But now you're seeing that pay off a little bit in terms of them expanding the bracket and the RPI stuff, or the strength of schedule stuff, or just playing those teams that are at that level. I think, lucky enough, I think in terms of, you look at the last couple of years, we scheduled the teams that have made the tournament. You know what I mean? And so whether it be a UC Irvine this year or last year in terms of being like Stanford and BYU, I think those things have worked out well for us. And then if you're able to get a couple of those wins at key times, it puts you in a great position at the end of the year.
And, last year you obviously had to play in the playing match on Tuesday. This year you get a little bit of time off, moving on to the semifinals, you get the bye. How much do you think that time off is going to help you as opposed to last year where you really only had 1 day to prepare for a play-in match after playing in the MIVA tournament?
Well, and especially with us traveling, I think it's nice. I think it gives our guys a day or two to refocus and get themselves in a good spot and watch a match be played. The nice thing for us is we played at Stanford the past 2 years, so we played at the beginning of this year and we played at the beginning of last year, so we've been to Maple Pavilion and played volleyball. So in terms of we're not walking into an environment that we haven't been in, or a gym we haven't been in, or a locker room or any of that stuff. And so I think that works out well for us in terms of being comfortable in our surroundings and having played volleyball there before at the same time. And so it's nice to have that bye, and nice to put yourself in a position to kind of soak things in and focus and get where you want to be and see some teams play in front of you.
And, for your team, what's going to be kind of the one key move into this NCAA tournament that you guys are going to have to do well to be able to win the national championship?
Well, I think we're going to have to play the level of volleyball that we've been playing here over the past couple months. You know what I mean? I think, and to do that on the court in terms of just first ball contact, serve and serve receive, and then ultimately control the net. I think, we've been one of the best in the country in terms of, winning a lot of battles at the net, and we have to do a great job of that with whatever opponent steps on the court with us, and ultimately being great on the first ball contact like we have been throughout the year will put us in a great position as well.
Yeah. And final question for me, you look at the history of the NCAA tournament. This is now back-to-back years that the MIVA has had the #1 overall seed. What do you think that says about the conference and just the growth of it?
Well, I think it's great. I think it's great, in terms of just across the board, Conference Carolinas, our conference. I think Shane as well as I, and some of the other media programs have raised their level of play because of the continuous effort to play outside competition from all throughout the conference. You saw Grand Canyon playing USC, you saw Lindenwood playing USC, so you saw our teams kind of getting out and playing different teams, and ultimately that's just going to make our conference better and elevate our level of play. The MTSF has always been great and will always be great, but I think there was more ground for us to catch up in terms of that, you know what I mean? And so I think teams and coaches are doing a better job of playing higher level competition consistency, and that puts you in a good position to be in a great spot for the conference and the programs.